So the new iPhone 17 is here, and you know what that means. The big question isn't just what's new, but is it new enough? Is this the year you absolutely have to upgrade, or is that 16, 15, or even your old iPhone 14 still got plenty of gas left in the tank? Well, let's figure that out. Yeah, this is the million-dollar question, right? To really get to the bottom of it, we're going to look at these four phones through the lens of what actually matters day to day. The design, that all-important display, the cameras, and of course, the raw performance. Okay, so let's line them up. Here are our four contenders, side by side. At a quick glance, yeah, the iPhone 17's bigger screen and new chip definitely catch your eye, especially since it launched at the same price as the 16 did. But trust me, the real story is buried in the details. Let's start with the very first thing you notice when you pick up a new phone, how it actually looks and feels. How much has really changed with the design and durability? You know, what's kind of funny is that the brand new iPhone 17 is actually the heaviest of the bunch, while last year's iPhone 16 is the lightest. Go figure. You'll also feel a difference too. The 14 is the last of its kind with that old school glossy back. Everything since has that much nicer, more modern matte finish. But hey, when it comes to taking a splash, they're all on the same team. Same IP68 rating across the board. Okay, and now let's talk about what might just be the single biggest, most important reason to upgrade this year. We're talking about the display. And here it is, the big one. The iPhone 17 finally gets a 120Hz ProMotion display. This is a massive deal. It makes everything, scrolling through your feed, playing a game, feel incredibly fluid and buttery smooth. Honestly, this is a feature that's been on budget Android phones for years, so to finally see it on a base iPhone, it's a total game changer. The other three, they feel kind of stuck in the past at 60Hz now. And what about brightness, for when you're trying to use your phone outside on a sunny day? Well, the 17, 16, and 15 are all pretty close, all pushing over 1100 nits, which is great. But look at the iPhone 14. Yeah, it's a whole different story. It's noticeably dimmer, and you will absolutely feel that difference outdoors. And of course, you can't talk about the screen without talking about the cutout. The iPhone 14 is the last of the Mohicans with that classic big notch. The 15, 16, and 17 have all moved on to the much slicker dynamic island, which doesn't just look cleaner, it's actually functional, bringing alerts and live activities right to the top of your screen. All right, let's get to the main event for a lot of you out there. The cameras. How much better are your pictures really going to get if you upgrade? So the main camera on the 15, 16, and 17 is a solid 48 megapixels. That's a huge step up from the 14's 12. But listen, the real headline this year is the ultra-wide camera. The iPhone 17 gets a beastly 48 megapixel sensor, the same one you'd find in the Pro models. That's a serious upgrade from the little 12 megapixel sensors in the others. The iPhone 17 also has this clever new trick up its sleeve, an 18-megapixel square selfie sensor. Know what that means is you can switch from a vertical shot for your Instagram stories to a wide, horizontal group photo without ever having to turn your phone sideways. It's a small thing, but it solves a super common annoyance. Now, since none of these base models have a real telephoto lens, they all have to use digital zoom. And let me tell you, the quality falls off a cliff fast. The newer phones can technically push all the way to 10x, but the results are, well, they're pretty rough. The iPhone 14 struggles the most here, looking the softest at every step, and it can't even do the 10x option. In good, bright light, honestly, all four of these phones take great photos, but it's when the sun goes down that the real differences come out to play. The iPhone 17 is the undisputed low-light champion. We're talking brighter shots, much better colors, just all-around better performance. This is where the iPhone 14 really starts to feel its age. So what's powering all these cool new features? Let's dive under the hood and look at the brains of the operation, the chips, the software, and of course, the battery. You can just see the steady march of progress right here. Each new year brings a new generation of Apple's amazing silicon, from the A15 in the iPhone 14 all the way up to the brand spanking new A19 in the iPhone 17. And every single step up means more power, better efficiency, and brand new capabilities. So what does all that new power actually get you? Well, in the Antutu benchmark test, the iPhone 17 is the first base model to smash through the 2 million point barrier. That is a huge leap over the 16, and it translates to a much smoother experience in everything you do, from intense gaming to just editing a quick video. But hardware is only half the picture, right? The software gap between these phones is getting wider and wider. The 17 and 16 get the full, powerful Apple Intelligence Suite, which includes that much smarter Siri. The older phones, they're stuck with the basics. Plus, the 17 gets an always-on display, a feature that used to be just for the expensive Pro models. Okay, now here's a little surprise for you. In our charging test, the iPhone 17 was, in fact, the fastest to get to a full charge. But, get this, the iPhone 16 was actually the slowest of the four. Yeah, even though it can technically pull more power than the 14 and 15, a very strange little quirk. So, we've looked at the design, the display, the cameras, the performance. Now it's time to bring it all home and answer that one big question. Should you actually upgrade? Of course, price is always a major factor. The brand new iPhone 17 is launching at $799. But the real value for some people might be looking at the older models. I mean, you can find an unlocked iPhone 14 in great shape for around $350. That's a massive price difference. I just love how our source put it. They said for the price of one iPhone 17, you could buy two iPhone 14s and still have $100 left over for catnip. It really does put that value proposition into a whole new perspective, doesn't it? Okay, but let's get really specific for a minute. What if you are that person? You're holding an iPhone 14 in your hand right now. Is the iPhone 17 the upgrade you've been waiting for? The verdict from us is a resounding absolute yes. The leap from the 14 to the 17 is enormous. You're getting that super smooth 120Hz display, a way better camera system, especially when it's dark, and you're getting access to all the new Apple Intelligence features. It's truly a night and day difference. And that kind of leaves us with one final big thought. With the base model iPhone 17 being this good, it really makes you stop and wonder, for the average person, is the Pro model even necessary anymore? That's something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this one.